So, welcome to Women Express. I'm Denise Harrington. You all know me if you've been listening for quite some times. We're going into our 4th year of Women Express, and I'm so excited. This program is all about giving voice to women, women leaders, women pioneers, everyday women. This is the place to come if you want to know what's best for us. And that word best is going to come in handy as we talk today. What's best for us and how we can expand who we are as women leaders in our world. I have today with me someone that's special. I'm going to read her bio first. I don't want to kind of give away how I feel and all that great stuff yet, but I'm really excited to do this interview. We have with us today Dr. Sue Morter. She is a best-selling author of The Energy Codes, the 7-step system to awaken your spirit, heal your body, and live your best life. If that wasn't enough, she's got more. In this book, The Energy Codes, she shares techniques to activate untapped energy, empower hidden potential, and become one's own true self. She's the co-creator of bioenergetic synchronization techniques, or BEST, B-E-S-T. And as my assistant was typing that up, she said, wait, that's a whole lot for me to type. Hold on. Bioenergetic synchronization technique, or BEST. She's a master of bioenergetic theory and a quantum field visionary. She utilizes and helps people embody high frequency energies to activate their full human potential. That says a whole lot all by itself. She's the founder, and she founded the Morter Health Center in 1987. And she's the founder and visionary of the Morter Institute for Bioenergetics. Her programs are rooted in the connection between quantum science and higher consciousness. Her organization is committed to teaching individuals self-healing techniques with an inner wisdom approach to life. Her Body Awake School of Yoga is one of the programs that she offers, one that I just happened to fall into. We'll have a little story about that in a minute. I really are thoroughly enjoying it after not liking it for quite some time. And Dr. Sue's passion to help you discover and embody a joyful and inspired life. That's her passion. Dr. Sue has become a very important teacher in my life. It's a real joy to have your expertise and your wisdom here with me today, and even more of a joy to be able to call you my friend. Welcome and big hugs.
Oh,
Dr. Sue.
big hugs back. Well, that's a given and a great joy. It's always truly a delight to be with you. When I start thinking about connecting in with you, I just start smiling. and so I'm very happy to be here, and I know that we're going to have a great conversation, just because of my past experience with conversing with you. I'm quite sure that we are headed into some beautiful things today. So
we're going to have some fun. It's funny because when we talked to your team, they were like, well, what are they going to say? And I said, Sue's a lot like me. She's going to wing it. Of course.
it's going to work.
We'll feed off of each other. I don't think it's going to be a problem at all. But I do want to help focus some of our attention that the women that usually listen to this podcast, most of them are professional women. So as I was starting to put your program together, it's like, okay, so how do we really support professional women that are going to be listening to this program? And I think what you're bringing to the table will make a big difference for most of us. I can tell you one of the ways that I've known Sue, so that everyone knows Dr. Sue, for quite some time, but I wasn't really into the things that she was sharing. I just, I was a busy businesswoman. When was I going to do all that other stuff? And what I found is that I was at a place in my career journey, where I was stuck. going around in this one little circle, just couldn't seem to break out of that circle. And it's very interesting. I took one of Dr. Sue's programs this past fall and came back, and based on the techniques and specifically the yoga, I think has a lot to do with it. I got unstuck. And I realized that the techniques and the knowledge that you bring to the table is essential for women who are really on their career path, because sometimes we get to that top, we get to that apex, we've worked so hard to get there, and there's a lot of us that is, let's say, we're in pieces by the time we get there, we're not as whole. So
Mm,
I really would like for you to share with us some of the benefits that the energy codes bring and how it helps us as humans, but certainly as women, bring that wholeness back into our day-to-day life.
mm, sure. So I kind of liken it to when we land here, we sort of splat, and our faculties go in different directions. So it's like our mind goes one way, our body goes another way, our breath is over here, and really the truth of us is just kind of hanging out, waiting to see if it's ever going to feel really safe to drop in completely. And so in the course of our lives, we end up pulling ourselves back together from this splat, either efficiently or not so efficiently. You know, we can't do it wrong. We can only do it long, right? We can take a long time getting ourselves together, or we can, you know, create some efficiency with doing that. And so the energy codes came out of healthcare. It came out of really combining healthcare and these huge experiences that I was having with meditation in these multidimensional sorts of ways. I was opening up into different realms and realities and all kinds of things that were not my intention. I just wanted to learn to meditate to reduce the stress that I was experiencing running a clinic that was a successful clinic, but because of its success, it was very busy and there was a lot happening all the time. And I was worrying about, you know, what if this happens, or what, all that stuff. So I went to meditate, to learn to meditate as an attempt to really manage the stress. And lo and behold, I mean, an entirely different reality opened up to me almost instantly as I started meditating. And so that took me into this whole spiritual inquiry, like, what was that? What happened here? Because I was exalted up into a different dimension, high above the earth. I could see 360 degrees, actually spherically, in every direction simultaneously, in a light so brilliantly bright, it was 10 times brighter than the brightest day in the desert that I'd ever seen. And I was suspended above the earth. The earth was below me about the size of a marble. That's how exalted I was in my conscious perception. And, you know, it was this beautiful pink iridescent blanket of a horizon that would rise and fall every time I took a breath. I had free will. I could decide to take a big breath or a little breath. I could look up, down, back, forward simultaneously. And most importantly, I would say that I knew instantly when I was in that place that this is the truth of who we are. It was this felt sensation of like, oh, I had no idea that what we're doing down here on this planet is just a project that we're in. And yet here I was, and I had always been there. I knew I was always going to be there. It was the only thing that was true. I was wholly whole, full, complete, satiated, not wanting nothing to do, nowhere to go, nothing to become. It was full.
Oh, wow.
And, you know,
Wow.
it was transformative. And so the energy codes were developed as a way of me learning how to recreate that experience for myself. The outcome was that was a transformative moment, but my life didn't change because of it. My life didn't change until I learned how to bring that version of me into my body and then into my life, so that I could exchange and interact and make business decisions and make relationship decisions and participate in life in a way that was not based in fear and trying, but that was based on celebrating the truth of what I now knew about us.
Now, I
And
have to tell you, you know, one of the things, and I do want you to finish the story.
yeah,
One of the things, I've been a meditator for years, a person who followed meditation for
yeah,
long time, very
yeah,
long time. I started TM when I was 19 years old. So it's been a while.
yeah,
And part of my career, part of my professional career, I always felt it was important not to let people know that. But I knew that one of the reasons that I was successful, I could be creative and because I'm an entrepreneur in what I did and successful in what I did was really rooted in my experience in meditation. Although I didn't have such a big experience that you had, I do know and understand that sometimes we forget that being centered in ourselves, fully established in our own awareness, is an
Mhm.
important piece to being, at least I feel, an innovative, cutting edge businesswoman. What do you think?
And one who enjoys being innovative and cutting edge. You
Mhm.
know, it allows us, when we start to allow those two different worlds to become one, when our inner world can actually authentically show up in our outer world, we become stress-free. We become just a steward of something that's truly trying to happen through us all the time. Instead of us trying to make it happen, we recognize that it's happening, and all I have to do is focus it and point it in what direction, this amazing flow that happens through our system on an ongoing basis. And until we realize that, we think it's up to us. We think I got to be the one that gets up and makes it happen. If it's not me, who's going to do it? And and it feels tiring, and it's lonely, and it's
Is.
frustrating, and it's not fulfilling, because we never really get to experience the truth of who we are when we operate that way. We might be successful. I was running a clinic that was in the top 1% of my profession in terms of revenues and, more importantly, outcomes. And I was getting referrals, and I wasn't having to advertise. It was just, happening. And I was not fulfilled. I was like, okay, this is great. And is this it? Really? Is this what I'm going to do the rest of my life? I
Mhm,
don't,
mhm.
I don't think so. And so it started, I started feeling the stress of that, because I was destined to have a bigger understanding of what life was really all about. And so then I was attracted to the meditation, and that whole thing unfolded. And what I've done with it all is allow what I experience in my inner in my own inner sanctum, if you will, in my own inner self, to come through more authentically, without altering it or distorting it or disturbing it or suppressing it or containing it, because I think I'm supposed to show up a certain way and have it go a certain way and have it look a certain way. It's like, I am not doing that anymore. And what's been so amazing is, the less I try, the more successful I become.
Wow.
You know, it's
Wow.
it's like, when I take the strain off of, making it happen, and I learned how to let it happen, it's bigger than I was trying to make it in the first place. And so bigger things happen with greater ease, because of the unifying of this inner world and this outer idea of who we are and how we're supposed to operate and how it's supposed to look in order to get ahead.
Well,
And
you seem to be, I know one thing for certain about you is that your whole focus is to help with techniques that help people really get to that place and maintain that idea, because there's a certain amount of trying that goes, we all, I've just watched how life has evolved. A lot of us know these principles. We know that don't try, let go, all of these things, and all the affirmations, and we do all these things, yet it's still, it feels like effort.
mhm.
And one of the things that I know that you share through your techniques is a way to authentically get to that so that the efforting is not there, that it's truly an experience.
Yes, on many levels. I teach people how to unleash the nervous system that gets locked into a performance pattern of fight or flight, or freeze, or performing or protecting in some way that drains our system of its natural resources and exhausts our adrenals, and then the thyroid kicks in and tries to do its job to help, and then it gets exhausted because it's doing a job it wasn't built to do, and then we start hormonally roller coastering, and the next thing you know, our health is compromised, our sense of self is compromised, our joy is compromised, and so success at what cost, really, is what is the conversation that starts to unfold. And when we start to really learn how to open the nervous system again and allow it to be perceiving and receiving and exchanging, not in a protective manner, but in a creative manner, what begins to happen is all those old symptoms and signs, et cetera, physically or emotionally, or even success, in a success basis, they start to shift and change because we start using a different operating system. And a byproduct of that is there's more flow and there's less strain, and it is more of a sense of destiny than it is desperation. People move from, oh, I gotta make this happen, to this was so meant to be. This is so what I always knew was life was supposed to be like.
I've noticed in the last several weeks that things are just kind of showing up and happening. And that was something that was in my life all along, since I've learned to meditate and to, doing all the steps that you do to be successful. But there seems to be so much more ease around the way things show up in my life now. So much more ease in the way things show up. So much more, less trying and efforting, as I said earlier, that all of a sudden I have a goal and then boom, there it is. It's like I'm starting to look for it to happen as opposed to it not happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's very cool.
So everything in the world is energy. Everything is energy. Everything. And the energy is vibrating in different frequencies. The chair that we're sitting in is energy. And people don't think in terms like that. Their body is energy. Their thoughts are energy. Their emotions are a different vibrational frequency of energies. The food that we eat is energy. The decisions that we make are an energetic claim. We're dialing into a certain vibrational radio station, if you will. Success happens the more of those various vibrational frequencies of energy that we can embody or that we can embrace or that we can collaborate with, the more successful we are. So obviously making distinctions instead of judgments, and choosing what we want instead of trying to get away from what we don't want, and those kinds of new habits can certainly open things for people in a regular manner, in an easy way. And when our vibration starts to expand or to raise, if you will, that's how most people reference it, is the raising of our vibrational frequency, allows for healing on every level, whether it's financial healing or emotional healing or physical healing or relational healing, whatever. It just, things start to become less distorted and more open and flowing the way that nature would have them be if we didn't get in the way with our, ideas of what we're not, and playing small, and all those fears that we stuff in all that stuff. So when that starts to open, we start vibrating at a frequency that is closer to our destiny than when we're shut down. When we shut down because of past hurts or disappointments, or businesses that we tried that failed, or relationships that we tried that didn't work out, or what have you, when we start making decisions based upon only our past experience, we start edging out inspiration and creativity and innovation. And we're actually made of those kinds of energies. Innovation and creativity is the basis of our very being here. And so the more we open our system, the more we resonate with our destiny. And that's why when you now are thinking of something and then it manifests, just like, how did that happen? Where did this person come from? How did they know I was just thinking that I wanted somebody to show up in my life that would show me how to do this or do this for me or whatever? How's that happening so coincidentally? And it's happening in such a fashion because we're attracted to our destiny, and the less interference that's in the path, the sooner that destiny can unfold, and it's intended to do so immediately, right away. Yeah. So what we're doing with the energy codes, which was part of your question, was we're learning how to feel our way into what needs to be released now, and what is it time for me to step into now, instead of my mind making all of those decisions alone. We're teaching the mind and the body and the breath to work together, because together they are more. Together they can accomplish more. Situations that the mind cannot find answers to on its own can be resolved when the mind and the body and the breath start working together to make decisions or to prioritize the things that we're trying to manage in our lives, or the decisions that we're trying to make, new projects that we're trying to come up with, what have you. So when we're stuck, it's because we're trying to use just our mind to get the job done. And if we've been thinking about something for a long time and we haven't come up with the answer, or we've been trying to da 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 da, and we just the answers don't come, it's not a job for the mind alone, or the mind would have come up with the answer by now.
That's a good
So,
point.
so what I'm doing is saying, okay, let's get the mind and the body working together, because when they come back together from that splat, we are empowered beyond measure. We truly are not of this world. We are in this world, but we are here playing and managing it and rearranging things to our liking. And that's what's going on. And until we gather ourselves back from the splat, we are only identifying as the mind. It's like we land, we splat, we go face first, we come up and we're stuck to the mind alone. We think the mind is who we are, and it's not. It's not. It's supposed to be serving us, not controlling us. The mind is actually something that we invented on the way in here. When you look at it from a quantum science and a bioenergetic standpoint, and the formulation at the embryonic stage, what's going on is consciousness is building a vehicle for itself called a body, and it's coming into this life into physical form, into this physical world, and so it's truly that we are consciousness in a body, and we've invented a mind and a body to navigate ourselves, through this life. And so what we have to do is learn to let all of our faculties work together to make these decisions. So, for instance, if somebody's trying to think about a goal or a dream in their business or in their life in any way, and they think about it and they get so excited and they get inspired and it feels so good. And then they start thinking, okay, next, then how do I get that happening? And all of a sudden they start to feel fear, or they get a tightness in their chest, or a lump in their throat, or a knot in their stomach. There's a reason that they're getting tightness in their chest, or a lump in their throat, or a knot in their stomach. Each one of those is representing something different. And the body is trying to speak to the mind, basically saying, if you had all of your circuitry running in this system the way that it's supposed to be running, you would just step into that dream and that desire, and it would happen. But because you don't have all of your circuits plugged in, they're not integrated, they're splatted, because they're not integrated. When you start thinking in terms of having this higher vibrational life that you're dreaming of, it affects you. It shuts down the system in some way, because the system isn't operating on all of its cylinders, if you will. And so it can't perceive that as a possibility for itself. It's too far over there. The goal is too big. The dream is too high. I can't handle it. I can't manage it. I have a picture.
Is this kind of the fight or flight? And I want to see the picture, but is this kind of the fight or flight situation we were talking about, when you go into that fear or either you freeze? Remember I said I was stuck. So I was stuck in my fear, or you run like crazy away from it. So the question is that what you're talking about? Because you're saying this thing about integrating. The splat is where we run into this experience and we become partial as opposed to whole. I guess that's the best way to kind of say it. It's like fractions of ourselves are split out, and then learning to really, really bring those back together. Now, if this is getting deep for anybody out there, this is quantum physics we're talking about. I mean, Dr. Sue is being a real scientist right now. She may be speaking about the spiritual consciousness as it is, but quantum physics has been doing everything in its power to pinpoint what consciousness is in the human system. So that's where we're coming from. It's about learning that this consciousness sits deep within the system. Am I hitting on all cylinders there?
Yeah. Consciousness built, it compresses itself into this physical world. The physical world is energy that is compressed. The chair that you're sitting on is energy. It's just more compressed energy. All physical matter is compressed energy. That's just a law of physics. Everything that you can touch is energy that's compressed. And our emotions are also energy, they're just less compressed. Our thoughts are a little bit more compressed in terms of our beliefs, thoughts that we've been thinking for a long time. They become rigid patterns in our system. And so we have to soften, we have to, open the system in such a way that energy can reconfigure itself, rearrange itself, so that our lives can reconfigure themselves and rearrange themselves. So this image might help. Okay, I'm just going to hold up a little picture here, something I use when I'm teaching. Is that okay? Does that work?
Help yourself. Let's go.
Okay, dear. So here is this energy that comes down through the body. It hits the earth, turns, rises up, and cycles around and around and around. That's bioenergetics. That's the way energy runs through the human system. And here's how it runs through most people's system. It comes down, hits the earth, turns, rises up, and it starts going around all these things that we think, I'm not safe, I'm not enough, it's not okay, I'm too old, I'm too young, whatever. And the rising energy has to move around all these areas that we've shut down. And that wobble that it picks up creates a distortion in this energy field. Now, this person is standing in here and they see a distorted reality. They look out through a distortion and they see, it's not possible for me. That other person is more successful. It's always going to go easy for them. It's never easy for me. It's never going to work for me. I've tried lots of times. I don't know what the problem is. And there goes the story. We're validating it all the time because we're looking through this distorted reality. It looks real. Might as well be real. It's not real, but it looks real to us because of this individual universe that we're creating inside of our own lives. And so what the energy codes is doing is building circuits through these blockages or these things that have been shut down. And we're carving a super highway through this so that we can really flow in a non-distorted way again, right? And so when this is happening, a person is in fight or flight. They cannot not be. There's a little trap door up in the brain between the conscious and the subconscious, between the thalamus and the hypothalamus, that keeps us from being able to sense and feel our wholeness and our well-being if that trap door slams shut. And that's what happens the moment that something didn't go well. And it could have started when you were 5 years old, and it can still be affecting you if you're 65 years old and have gone for 60 years trying to make it work and make it happen. If you've been fighting through that distorted energy field, you've worked hard for your money. And and that's a groovy thing, and we reward ourselves for doing it, but enough already. Okay, it doesn't have to be that hard in order to have the success, which is why I was saying, when I align and get the system flowing in this way, I don't have to do nearly as much as I used to have to do to make things happen, to have things happen in my life on a much more abundant scale than they ever were before, when I was just, pedal to the metal, making it so.
Trying to make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a version of us that works. And if we haven't found it yet, then we're working hard instead of allowing it to flourish the way that it's designed to.
I do a lot of women's retreats and leadership coaching. And one of the things that I do know, that when we're working together and we're putting someone's plan together and sending her back out there to deliver whatever it is through her communication and her presentations, one of the things behind closed doors in coaching that does come up, not the fear, because usually when we're firing at that level as an executive, we're not afraid, but there is fear underneath there. There really is a concern about, am I bringing to the table all that I really, really am? And what I like about the picture that you just showed us is that those blocks in there are really real, and that they're our experience, whether it's when we got it at 5 years old and we're still carrying it at 65, or we got it at 60 and still carrying it at 55.
Yeah.
It's kind of backwards, isn't it?
Yeah,
But,
I get it. Yeah.
Releasing that, what techniques would you suggest that we use to release that? Because that's the culprit right there.
Yes, it is. And, first let me say that, I call them blocks because people are used to thinking of the blockages that are in my way. And really what I would love for everyone to understand is that they're gaps. They're not blockages. They're gaps in the circuitry. So it's like a big pothole in the highway. And so we go around the pothole, but we could fill in the pothole and drive right over it. And that's what the techniques are designed to do. So it's not that there's something bad and wrong inside of us that we have to get rid of. It's that there's some part of us that we haven't stepped into yet, that we haven't allowed to be okay, that we haven't allowed to have a life or to have a voice or what have you. And ironically, Denise, this is the craziest thing. The majority of super successful people have just been very good at stepping around those gaps, and stepping around the gaps actually picked up momentum for them, like the rocks in a river that create the rapids. It's the rocks in the river that make the current run swift. And so it has propelled many successful people forward, but they reach a point where that's not enough. It's not going to work for them in terms of their life purpose and their soul purpose, because we're here to experience our wholeness. We're not here to just keep outrunning the gaps. We're not here to just keep outrunning the things that have not had an opportunity to develop or to be strengthened or to be honed in some way. So I've worked with lots of some of the most successful people that our culture strives to become, in terms of business, in terms of the artistry of Hollywood, or famous singers, and you name it, people that have like made it to the pinnacles of their careers, even royalty, that have one thing in common. Even at the pinnacle, they're wondering, did I fulfill my destiny? Yes, I'm super successfully, but do I have my health? Do I have my happiness? Do I have this deep joy? And the majority of the time I have to report that they were not experiencing that when I met them. And so we would have this conversation. So the techniques that I would recommend are things that allow people to drop into the gaps and start to fill them in, instead of look for the problem and get rid of it. Because at the end of the day, if you've been spending years looking for the problem to get rid of it, at the end of the day, all you know how to do is find problems and get rid of them. You still don't know how to bring the fullness of you forward, and to celebrate, and to bring your talent and your gifts and your medicine, your original medicine that you are, here out into the world. So we want to, at the end of the day, be really good at creating bigger and better versions of ourselves, deeper and more true and authentic versions of ourselves. And so one of the things that I teach people to do is first of all, anchor themselves in their body, instead of coming up into their head and living in their head all the time. Anchoring themselves in their body. Breathing in the belly is a simple thing to do, but it draws the energies down from the head, down low, below the diaphragm, if you do belly breathing. And there are some anchor points that I can easily teach today in just a few seconds, to get people working with those things that will also anchor us more solidly in the body. And then I'd love to share another thing that is super helpful with people trying to gather themselves back from the splat and understand how to build their own circuitry. So think of it as, this gap is a lack of circuits. There's no circuitry there. There's no pavement over the pothole. So we have to build bridges through these areas. And there are ways that people can feel their way into doing that right away, and start working with these things, even though they haven't taken a big study course with me or whatever. It's totally something that we can begin doing on our own while we're driving down the street, while we're washing the dishes.
Most of the time, that's what I'm doing. I'm driving down the street, listening to Dr. Sue, and I'm like, oh, drop into the belly. It's like, I'm getting up in my head, or I'm spinning, or in the middle of the night, I'm spinning, instead of just drop in and just be open to a greater energy and fill in those gaps. I just love that. So what are some of the practices that you would have us do?
Okay. So belly breathing is one. So belly breathing, just let me say this: big belly on the inhale, like a big Buddha belly. Big belly comes out from the body on the inhale. On the exhale, it comes in. On the inhale, out. On the exhale, in. Now that's the opposite of how most people breathe. Most people are breathing in, out, in, out, in, out in the upper chest. Never going to get us what we're looking for. It stimulates the part of the nervous system that is fight or flight in the upper lobes of the lungs. The lower lobes of the lungs activate the part of the nervous system that calms you down and has greater vascularity, so you oxygenate your blood faster. So breathe in the belly, draw the breath down to the lower lobes of the lungs by doing so. That's one. Number two, there are some ways to come home to yourself that are very, very effective. And I'd just like to do this little practice with people right now for a moment. I want you to put your attention on something in the room that is, over there, just a little bit, just over there a little bit, and some object in the room, and take a look at it and give it all of your attention, all of your energy. It might even help to look at the doorway in your room and imagine someone who pushes your buttons standing in the doorway. Right.
Okay, now really if you're driving,
okay, don't do this.
We want you to pull over.
Pull over, do this later, please. Please, we're going to have bigger problems to discuss.
But for those of us who are sitting in our comfy chair, let's try it. Let's go for it.
Yeah. So you would look at something, look at the doorway in your room, and just imagine the person who pushes your buttons is right there, and notice what happens in your body. There's a mass exodus from your body, and you give all of your energy. It just runs over there to the story in your life. It goes literally out of your body and goes over there. And so now I want you to just pull it back into yourself. Just pull your essence, your energy, your focus right back into you, onto subject, and notice how that feels. It's instantly comforting, instantly, just by pulling your energy back onto the self. And then take a belly breath. And then notice the doorway in the room, again, the person, and throw all your energy back over there, just so you can see the difference. Throw your attention onto the object and notice how it feels. It's so disempowering. You feel empty, caved in, lifeless. Now just claim it back. Just call it back onto you. Just boom, pull it right back in, and take a belly breath. And as you do this, the mind starts to make a distinction between, oh, it doesn't feel so good when I give all my power over there. Oh, feels so much better when I just come back home onto myself, gathering myself back from the splat of sorts. It's one way that we begin doing that process. So subject, object, subject, right? So subject, object, subject, something to practice. Practice it when you're on the phone with someone. Practice it when you're sitting at dinner with someone. Practice it when you're in a meeting and there's a bunch of people sitting around the table. Just somebody's talking and you feel yourself come back onto subject. In an instant, you're going to feel different. You're going to respond differently because you feel different, and you're going to maintain your creativity. And think about it this way. Your creative wisdom is below the navel. Your creative wisdom is below the navel. Okay. So you want creative wisdom, you got to stay down here, accessing it, tapping it, animating it, giving it life force so that it can contribute to the decisions, the words that you speak, and the things that you end up, concluding. So subject, object, subject, very helpful in pulling that back and activating this deep core wisdom. All right. So another thing that's really helpful is a central channel breath. Is breathing right up and down through the center of this. Because if we breathe and just draw our energy up and down through this central channel of our body, the way that we're demonstrating here in the toric field, and if you are driving down the road, maybe later you can, watch a replay of this and really see the images that I'm showing up to the camera. A central channel breath right there allows us to begin animating all these various levels of consciousness that reside in the physical body at different places. Like there's a reason that we listen to our heart and that we trust our gut, and they're two different things.
It's
and our
so amazing, Sue,
Yeah.
because I have to say, of all the things, I've been, as I said, meditating for so long, but these are the things that have really changed my life in the last few months. It's just understanding how to breathe in the channel, that there are these different energy points in my body that can help me become more whole and to be centered. As an example, very simple thing, this subject, object, subject.
Yeah.
I can go into a space now with someone that would trigger me, and I'll just sit there and just look at them like, okay. Because You know what I'm saying? I'm
Right.
just now
Totally.
more on myself. It's
Right.
like, okay, I
Right.
see you over there doing your thing,
Yeah.
but I'm just right here and I'm good with me right
Right.
now where
E
I'm at. I think that's
exactly.
such a huge thing, especially for women and especially for women leaders, because women tend to try to nurture everything and everyone. Talk about splat, nurturing for us is kind of like a splat because we're
Yeah.
trying to make it okay for everybody. And
Yeah.
the first time I started doing your techniques and I used this and someone walked in, of course, someone walked in that triggered me. And I just sat there and looked at them like, okay, well, I'm all right over here doing what I'm doing and my life is really good.
It's
You know
so
what I'm saying?
amazing. We begin to see that their way of being has really very little to do with us. And we can see it when
Mm-hmm.
we're on subject. When we come back home to the self, we can see, wow, you got this whole thing going on over there. And it used to suck me right into it. And I
It
was
did.
in it with you.
Yep.
And, I'm peeling off of that. Not that I'm turning my back on you. I'm going to stay right here with you. But you get to do that thing because I'm doing this thing. I'm
Yeah,
doing
I'm
this
doing
thing.
this centered thing,
Yeah.
and
I'm
you're
doing this
and this
centered.
is not a judgment thing.
Yeah.
I just want for everyone to know it's not a judgment thing that
Right.
you're over there, you're doing that thing. It's
Not at
not
all.
even that tone at all. It's more
It,
of, oh, okay. It's not even, oh, that's interesting. It's not even that. It's like, okay, well, I'm here. I'm
yes,
in my space and
exactly.
I'm enjoying or not enjoying. It doesn't have anything to do with qualities. I can't explain it. It's
It's a
more like
present.
I'm just present. I'm right here with me watching that happen, and that's okay.
Yes. Yes, absolutely no judgment intended there. It's sort of the mind has to have permission to not engage until it's a conscious engagement. And so we cannot any longer be unconsciously drawn into circumstances. We need to be making a conscious choice to be engaging. Otherwise, we can be over giving, over nurturing, over trying, and that contributes to further splatting, codependency, all sorts of unhealthy enmeshments that get generated if we're not aware and consciously choosing to engage in the ways that we do. So
Mhm. So
yeah,
these techniques make us more aware. So one would
yeah,
be learning how to breathe from the belly,
yeah,
and
belly
then
breath
the second
and
one.
a central channel breath. So let's do a central channel breath together. And basically this is what I'm doing is we're going to take a breath from above our head, just from above your head, and breathe right down into the center of your brain, into your throat, into your chest, all the way down into your belly. And people might think, how do I breathe from the top of my head? Just imagine and intend breath coming down into the central core of the body, all the way to the belly on the inhale. And then on an exhale, you're going to drop that breath right down into the earth. And then on an inhale, you're going to breathe up from the earth, up into the belly again. And then on an exhale, you're going to move that right up through the body and out the top of the head. And then I'm going to inhale, just repeating, inhale from overhead, right through the center of the brain, the throat, the chest to the belly. And then I'm going to exhale right down into the earth through the tip of the spine and the pelvis down into the earth. And then I'm going to inhale up from the earth into the belly. And then I'm going to exhale from the belly through the chest, through the throat, through the center of the brain and out the top of the head. A central channel breathing, you're always inhaling to the core and exhaling out the other end, inhaling to the core and exhaling out the other end. What that does is it starts to align these energies and gather lots of what are called photons, which are just the tiniest packages of consciousness, boom,
Mm,
conscious energy right
mm.
into this alignment in this central channel. And it starts to give you a more robust experience of self being on subject. You can feel even more potency when you've been practicing this central channel breathing. And so you can't overdo it. Central channel breathe every time you think of it all day long. I'm always taking a breath from below, exhaling out the top, or taking a breath from above, exhaling into the earth, multiple times a day. And my life has changed because of it, because it organizes the energy field. And now the energy field isn't operating in reactive distortions. It's here lucid and clear and able to be guiding and still taking care of itself all at the same time, because it's centered and grounded and having an integrative effect. Now there's you just need to tell
Well,
me.
just to kind of summarize that, we're actually filling the pothole
Yeah,
by
that's
doing the
exactly.
central channel breathing.
Exactly. We're starting to pave through that. Now, there are some specific things that we can do in an instant that will go straight to the pothole that matters most in any given moment. And if we have a minute, I'd love to share that. I don't want to. I don't
Okay,
know
go
how
for
much
it.
time we have. Okay.
Well,
All right.
we're good. Let's go
Okay.
for it.
All right, dear.
I think it's
So,
getting juicy. We don't want to stop now.
okay. Well, this one's a good one. All right. So let's say someone comes to the door that does push your buttons, and your energy goes over there onto object instead of staying on subject. And all of a sudden you've lost yourself right into that moment. There's something that you can do to prevent that from happening next time. So when you claim it back onto subject, there's a super effective question that you could ask. Instead of asking, why do you do the things that you do that activate me so much?
Mhm.
Or what's wrong with me that I let you affect me so much? Another ineffective question. Let's ask a better question. And that is, where in my body do I feel more activated than any other area right now in this moment, with you standing in the door saying what you're saying or doing what you do? Where in my body do I feel a charge? And I might even be able to say, I've got a lump in my throat and all I'm doing is thinking of this person. I've got tightness in my chest and all I'm doing is watching them walk toward my office. Or I've got a knot in my stomach and all that's happening here is I'm thinking about this thing that happened today at work as I'm driving home. So that lump, knot, whatever tightness is it's the body trying to tell the mind, we need you here. We need some pothole repair right here. We need to build some circuits right here or right here or right here, wherever you're feeling it or wherever your mind goes, even if you don't feel anything, wherever your mind goes when you ask this simple question. Where in my body could I turn on the circuits to be able to stay home to myself in situations like this? Where am I not animated? Where have I not turned on my system in a way? And so I have a pothole there that's throwing me off center. Right. Instead, where is it? And the mind and the body will instantly talk to each other, and your mind will go to your gut, to your heart, to your chest, to your throat, somewhere. It may make no sense, but your mind will just be there. All of a sudden, you're just, before you even get the whole question asked, the answer is there. And so here's the invitation. You either put your hand on it until you get good at practicing what to do on the inside of the body. But by putting your hand on that area, it will be a placeholder for you to know that's where that's where one of these things is. That's where one of these things is. The energy is hitting it and going around it, or hitting it and having to go around it. When it hits it, it's a knot in your stomach. When it hits it, it's a tightness in your chest. When it hits it, it's a lump in your throat. That's what you're feeling, is the excess of energy hitting where there's no longer flow and it's got to go around it. It's no longer hitting it. It can't flow through it. It hits it and it's got to go around it to keep going. So what I'd really love for you to do is hug it on the inside. If your mind went to your gut, to your throat, to your chest, hug it on the inside. Just squeeze it on the inside, just like you're hugging your heart or hugging inside your stomach or hugging inside your throat. Just work around with that. You'll figure it out. It's going to feel awkward and clunky and clumsy at first, but don't give up, because it took you a long time to learn how to walk. It's not going to take you nearly as long to learn how to do this thing. And it's going to change your life and all the wonderful things that you've done in your life up to this point to try to pull yourself together, or to hone or refine yourself or be the very best that you can be. You're going to benefit from those efforts much more when you are lining this up and coming home to yourself in a way that maybe you didn't even know you weren't before.
Yeah.
So you hug that, and then you do central channel breath, and you're going to find yourself being so nurtured You're going to find the same feelings that you would have felt if someone had been able to show up for you in those moments where you were super intimidated, or you felt like something was slipping through your fingers and there was nothing you could do about it, or, things didn't go the way you wanted, or you got in trouble, or something happened that shut down that, the system. And so
Right.
we're finding the places where it's shut down, and we're opening them up again specifically and allowing that energy to flow.
That's really, really incredible. Very, very good.
Oh,
Wow, that hit a lot of the questions. I just knew that we would do that. I just had an experience
yay.
of what we would call freeing yourself 101,
Yeah,
grounding yourself 101, being
yeah.
yourself 101, not just saying it, but actually experiencing it.
Yes.
So important.
And, nature's on our side. What we're talking about here is the way we were built to be used. We were built to be utilized in this way, the mind, the body and the mind and the breath. And no one taught us how to do that. So we've been trying to use them as separate silos, you
Yes.
know,
Yeah.
and they do great, but they don't do as much as they would together.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I mean, I have to admit, when you first said that mind, the body, and the breath, usually we are looking at them in separate realities. They're not the same thing, but now they're working together to create a more whole me.
yeah.
Yay. Happy
Yes.
about that.
Yes. Yay.
Well, I'm at this point in the interview. I
Yeah.
put a lot into preparing for this interview, even though I knew we would be who we are and
Yeah.
just go for it,
Okay.
because that's just kind of how I am. And I know that's how you are too.
Yeah.
But this next section is our closeout section, but I'm so excited about it. And it's called the lightning round. It's a little bit different,
Okay.
as most interviews are. There's a round table or a round robin or a lightning round. You ask the question and you're supposed to answer it. Well, this is different.
Okay.
And I'll start out with my favorite Dr. Seuss sayings. And then you can give some of your favorite Dr. Seuss sayings. You game?
Okay. I'm
All
game.
right. Well, my favorite Dr. Seuss saying, I actually, someone took a picture of me on our when we did our journey in France, and we were doing yoga, and I was sitting there, and the picture came out on Instagram, and my son saw it, and he sent me a text, and he said, "Mom, you're in Big Chalice." So that's my first Dr. Seuss saying, Big Chalice.
Awesome.
One of my first favorite ones. And of course, Big Chalice means bringing in that energy, that bigness of who you are into your body and your experience through your breath. So that
Yes.
one is one of my favorites. The next favorite I have is, and you can comment on any of these,
That's
please.
so fun. That's so great. That's exactly it.
My next favorite is, let it be good. Now, let me clarify what that means. Let it be good. Let life be good. Let it just be good. Or if you're in the experience of trying some of these techniques that Dr. Sue just provided, let it be a good experience. Let it decide inside yourself, or maybe not even decide. Just let it be good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
It'll be all
You know,
right.
right. Exactly. That's the number one thing, really. Let it feel good. Just let it feel good. And people try, they try so hard that it doesn't feel good. So if it's not feeling good, you're trying too hard.
Mhm.
So we confuse trying with focus. You can focus up, but you don't have to make it hard.
Yeah.
And so I love that. Just yes, I say it all the time. Just let it be
All
good.
the
Let it be
time.
a
I
good
love it.
thing.
I love it. Well, this one you've already said, but I had to say this one because this was kind of the one that I had a challenge with when I first started doing your work, overall work, not just the body awake yoga, but all the other work that you do and share with people too. And that one is breathe from the belly.
Mm.
Breathe from the belly. Because at first when I tried it was like, what the heck is she talking about? Breathe from the belly. My belly would go in and then go out. It was like, wait a minute, what is this? But breathe from the belly.
Yeah. It's opposite. We've learned to breathe from the chest, and we have to learn how to breathe from the belly because of the reasons that we said today. It draws us down into the wisdom center. It draws us into our power, our true essential self, instead of letting it, come up here, and that we're just depending on our mind to answer everything and to do everything. And it's not built to do that. That's why it stresses out. It's not built to be on its own. It's built to be in support of something greater than itself, which is the wisdom of the true essential self. That's what the mind is supposed to be in service to. So how fun.
Okay. I have
Fun.
one last one. And then if you want to throw in one or two, you're welcome. My last one is same, same. Same, same.
Same, same.
Mhm. You want to
So
share what that means?
I love it. I know. I just was saying that just the other day, and actually I wrote it in something I was writing. I just wrote same, same as a full sentence, same, same. And so it means that this is the same as that. Let this be equal to that. If someone is, I don't know, any number of examples that could apply to, but we just end up saying that what's true in the inner world needs to be the same as what's true in the outer world. If we want to be stress-free, we need to let what's inside here to come out. We need to be expressing more freely and allow the truth of us to be good enough. And it's more than good enough. It's medicine, truly, for our environment. It's why we came. And so I love to equate those things for people inside of these analogies, that this is the same as this. And so we just say same, same.
Same. I love that. Do you have one or two that you just love that Dr.
You know,
Seuss?
there is one that comes up often when I'm really working deeply with people. And that is that big beings take on big projects and they get started right away. Because sometimes people wonder why they've had a rough life, why they've had the hard knocks, why these things have occurred in their lives that sometimes are, kind of definitely undesirable and sometimes even unexplainable. The numbers of mishaps or misfortunes that might occur in someone's life, and or maybe not even in numbers, maybe just in intensities, or the loss of someone before what seems like an appropriate age, however we've decided that people are supposed to live a certain amount of time or have certain types of life experiences, etc. And I always remind them that big beings come in here to evolve themselves, and they don't sweat the small stuff because they're big beings, and so they end up experiencing bigger stuff because that's what it's going to take to polish them and to refine them and to grow them. And so as to not be discouraged if things seem bigger than what one can handle, they never are. It's literally an impossibility for a circumstance to be bigger than what you can handle. It isn't possible in the world of quantum science or in the world of spirituality, and certainly not in the world where we put them all together. And so if something seems bigger than you, it's only that you are perceiving yourself to be smaller than you are. And so it's a vibrational match, whatever it is that's happening. And as we embrace that, we begin to raise our vibration. We begin to open up the blinders in ways that are truly magnificent and seemingly miraculous what happens as we do so. This story comes to mind real briefly, that between my brother and I, my brother inherited my father's business, and I was off doing my own thing, and he felt like we were in competition, and I never felt that way at all. I was just, trying to do my thing and encouraging them to do their thing, and all of it for everyone to go out and serve humanity in all the ways that we could. And he basically, was saying in this conversation on the phone that we were having, if you do that, it's going to kill our business. And I thought, when I hung up the phone, I thought, that is so amazing, because that business was so big and so robust in my mind that nothing could ever hurt it or harm it. And I hung up the phone and thought, he must think I'm huge in some way.
Wow.
And I walked away from the phone and I was like, oh, well, then maybe I am. Maybe I am huger than I was letting myself be.
Yeah.
And
Relate
in doing so, I started relaxing more and allowing the bigness of my being to come through. And what has become a far more successful business than I ever dreamt of. And I was at the top of my profession in the clinical setting. But what's happening in my world is exponentially larger because I'm allowing my authentic self to be the guide instead of trying to fit into guidelines of how everybody else thinks it should go. And a byproduct of that is I am so fulfilled. I love what I'm doing. And I practice the things that we've shared here today every day, all the time. It's where I'm coming from, and it's working. And it's allowing a person who was so shy, I slept on the floor of my closet as a kid. I wouldn't speak to anyone. And I was just terrified of life. And now I'm, speaking to hundreds of thousands of people all the time. Millions of people have been exposed to these concepts. I'm in 115 countries around the world, and it, I just marvel at it. And all not because I was out there nose to the grindstone, shouldering in, making it happen. It was all because I relaxed and let it happen and allowed my bigness to be obvious to my own mind, which seems to be the last to know, right?
Wow. Wow. That's a wonderful way to end this time together, because I think that's the story for real.
Yeah, that's why we're here.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Sue,
Yay.
yay.
It's always yay with you.
It's a
Such a
big
good time.
yay. And I'm
Yeah.
so glad that the time opened up for us to do this. Of course it did.
Yes.
I'm always looking forward to seeing my next session with Dr. Sue. I'm going to be spending time with you this weekend. I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, fabulous.
And
Me too.
more than likely, I'll be spending more and more time. And I'm really thrilled. And thank you for all the life changes that have happened
Oh,
from your wisdom and your knowledge and the techniques that I'm starting to use and am happy to use. And I'm loving the unfolding of myself and my unfolded self meeting the unfolded self of you. So thank you so much.
how beautiful. It's my honor. Thank you for the invitation.
You're
It's been a
welcome.
real joy. Yeah.
I'm sure you would agree with me that the interview that we just had is life-changing. That's our promise at Women Express. We promise to bring you some of the best speakers, some of the best ideas, and some of the best techniques and trends that will change your trajectory as a woman leader. Our world deserves to hear your voice. Our world deserves to experience your power. You deserve to experience your power. So come on, women, let's express. Our next podcast will be coming up in the next 4 weeks. Yippee for us. But in the meantime, visit our website. We live with Speaking with Impact, which makes sense. You all know that I teach communication skills training for many years. So go to speakingwithimpact.com and there will be a pop-up for Women Express. For now, we're sharing. Go there and look to see what we're offering in terms of our summits, in terms of our webinars, and in terms of the ways and techniques that we talk about that we're going to be sharing in that community, in the Women Express podcast community. Thanks for listening today. I look forward to our next time together. And for now, come on, women, let's express.